Chris Ruddy had a chance to talk to the president, who's been friends with for many years, since he was just a real estate mogul, and he can tell us exactly what happened. Thank you for joining us.
Alex, great to be on with you. Thank you for having me on.
Love the work over at Newsmax. Follow it every day. Wow, so tell us, I mean, it was in the news he was mad, but of course we saw the videos of Bannon yelling at people. What's really going on?
Well, I can't tell you that I know everything that's going on. I did meet the president twice on Saturday. I saw him during the lunch hour and then at dinner time. And you've met him. You can tell when he's happy, and I think you can probably pick up when he's not happy. And he didn't seem very happy. He seemed to be a little angry about what had happened. And he had tweeted out that morning that Obama had wiretapped him and surveilled his campaign at Trump Towers. And he repeated to me, he said he knew details of the process of what happened. He thought it was outrageous. It was Watergate-level stuff. It was McCarthyism. And he wanted to make sure that we were covering, the press was covering it. Because remember, he just got off the golf course. And I said, of course, everybody's talking about it. And he was not happy. And I think, Obama... I have talked to a lot of people in that Trump campaign, and I think there's about 100% consensus of people that worked on that campaign, especially the leadership, that they were surveilled by federal authorities at one point or another. And I don't know how that all worked. I don't know if it's true or not. I'm just telling you as a reporter, and that's what I was reporting on Newsmax in my blog, the facts on that.
Well, I mean, I've rarely seen him angry. I mean, there's photos of him coming out of the White House after the argument. He looks really pissed off. We're seeing the angry Donald Trump here. And I agree with him. I mean, the Attorney General met as one of the heads of the Armed Services Committee with a Russian twice. Everybody did that. Pelosi did. It's on record. They asked if he was involved in the campaign as a surrogate. If they talked about the campaign, he said no. So why the hell would he recuse himself?
So let's just peel this onion, Alex, with your audience, okay? James Clapper, who was Obama's chief of national intelligence, was just on Meet the Press yesterday. He said they did a massive investigation. They found no evidence, okay, nothing, that showed collusion between the Russians and the Trump campaign. So what is the collusion? Because Sessions met with the Russian ambassador as an official, as a senator, which is very common at that level. But, what's even more common is political campaigns meet with foreign diplomats and foreign officials all the time. I'm sure Hillary's team had meetings with foreign officials. It's very common. Nothing wrong and nefarious about that. And considering Trump wanted to reset the relationship with Russia, I happen to disagree that I think it's not going to work out, but I also think it's okay for Trump to try. That they had some meetings, to me, is not unusual. And by Obama's own national intelligence report, there was no collusion. So then you look at beyond that and you start thinking, well, why are they hyping this story day and night and even demanding a recusal of the Attorney General? Let's go back. When Obama targeted conservative nonprofits and political groups, he had a lady at the IRS who ran the unit who was over at his White House 24 times. It made no sense why she was over there. She testified, took the Fifth Amendment repeatedly, did not disclose what happened and Obama's involvement. There was never a call for a special prosecutor. People got let off on that. It was an egregious abuse of power. And meanwhile, they're screaming because Trump's people met with the Russian ambassador a couple of times. It's ridiculous.
Exactly. So what are they doing? Just playing on the public's ignorance of how politics at that level works? I mean, they just keep pushing it and pushing it and pushing it.
Well, look, they don't have... They're very afraid of Donald Trump. He just beat a very popular Democrat who spent $1.5 billion. And I've talked about this before. The best book, I think, on the Trump presidency is David Horowitz's book called Big Agenda. And he says in Big Agenda, and everybody scoffed at it when the book first came out. It's now like 3 or 4 weeks on the New York Times bestseller list. But David said in Big Agenda that Obama was going to create a government in exile to stop Trump.
And now he's done exactly that. So either he was dead right or they're copying what Horowitz said.
Well, no.
No, I know. Obama always planned to do it, yeah.
Well, Horowitz says in his book that basically Obama is an Alinsky guy. He's a Saul Alinsky, rules for radicals, and he realizes what he's doing. He doesn't want to give Trump a minute to breathe. He doesn't want him to compromise with the Democrats and work on things that benefit the country like infrastructure. So look at this. They leaked the president's most confidential discussions with heads of state, two heads of state that we know, Mexico and Australia. These are super secret documents. The president gets on the phone with a head of state. Within several hours of those conversations, those ultra-secret documents were leaked by Obama holdovers to the Washington Post, other media.
And there's no dirt there, so they've committed the crime, and they're trying to turn it around now and say they never did it.
Well, there was no dirt, but it didn't there was a little bit of embarrassing stuff in there, things that people mocked Trump for saying or whatever. But the point is, it's a crime. Nobody's calling for a special credit. Why aren't the media and CNN talking about that? And they're talking about a couple of meetings with the Russian ambassador. Now, look, I'm all for investigations. I'm a member of the press. I don't care if it's a Republican or a Democrat. Every side should be held accountable. What I really detest from the media is the fact they only go after Republicans and they give Democrats a free pass.
I totally agree, and his approval rating is only going up. I think this is backfiring. And Chris Ruddy, CEO and founder of Newsmax.com, I mean, what do you think about this overall climate?
Well, I think it's difficult climate for the president, but I think the polling numbers, when you ask likely voters, he actually comes out pretty good. Because the public's seeing through some of this, the things that the media is saying and the Washington establishment. So I think he has a real shot. Look, that speech he gave before Congress was one of the best speeches. I saw the president.
It was one of the best ever. That's why he's so pissed, reportedly. You talked to him, though, that the fact that he got overshadowed by the stupid Sessions thing.
Well, he never raised Sessions. I never talked to him about Sessions. That was not even a discussion.
Well, let me ask you this, then. What else did he say?
Well, if I told you, I'd have to kill you.
I'm sure. I know you guys are.
No. We didn't. What he did say was, when I asked him later in the email, he said, "How's the press story developing on this?" I said, "Well, they're coming out with claim denials." He said, "Look, they're going to investigate it, and the truth will come out, and I will be proven right." And I put that on my Newsmax blog. So he knows more than he's revealing. Now, he didn't.
Well, of course, he's the president. Plus, the Intelligence Committee head says they have all the recordings, and there's nothing there. So they did surveil him.
Well, and if you look at the denials that are coming out, they're not really, they're lawyerly denials. They'll say, well, President Obama did not order it, or it was not ordered against Trump Tower.
Or Trump doesn't have proof.
Well, he was very confident in the information that he gave to me and to the public. So I think we should give him the benefit of the doubt, and there should be an investigation, like he said.
Well, sure, but I mean, Chris.
Why do they assume he's making it up?
You follow the news every day like I do. Remember, they were like, we have Flynn, we have transcripts, New York Times, it's all this stuff. And when Congress finally got it, it was nothing. I mean, they put out lies claiming they had surveillance. They did. It didn't show anything. So now Trump wants Congress to release it so everybody can see they committed crimes, and all he's doing is working for the people.
Yeah. I mean, I think this is a very difficult job for this president because he's not a politician, he's not an insider, and they really want to torpedo him, frankly. And Obama's working day and night, his holdovers.
No, and I agree. And I think he's genuinely pissed that he really wants to help the average person and even corporations. And he just can't believe they kept saying during that first speech to Congress, he kept saying, work with me. All I'm trying to do is help the country. What's your problem? And then Pelosi wouldn't even stand up when he talked about getting people jobs and stopping illegals, murdering people, and they booed that. I mean, where do you, Chris, you're a smart guy. Don't just say that patronizing. You're obviously a smart guy. Where do you see all this going? I mean, right now in your gut, I mean, I think Trump's going to succeed, but boy, these are dangerous waters. And I'm actually upset. I don't get off on the Democrats being so dumb. Having press conferences with Maxine Waters saying Russia invaded Korea. And Bush is still in office, Pelosi. I mean, the Democrats keep saying on their own shows, isn't it time for new leadership? And Pelosi's like, no, we're doing wonderful. So, I mean, I guess that's maybe our best friend is that they're so disconnected.
Well, I don't know how disconnected they are. They seem to be pretty organized in attacks against the president. I don't know where it's all going, frankly. I do think that I believe that Trump is in the right on most of the stuff that he's been saying. The issue is he is still in a bit of a campaign mode using their Twitter. I think they're going to need to readjust that. And if somebody asked me, nobody's asked me, I would advise them to use Twitter in a different way. But I would continue to do what he's doing, which is going directly to the American people, including like going on shows like yours or Newsmax or others, and talking to them and not get angry at the media, just bypass them and ignore them. It'll drive them crazy.
That's exactly, in closing, Chris, that's exactly what I said last night in a special report. I said, Mr. President, you put out these tweets that are great, that are true when you say, hey, they admit they surveilled me. Well, yeah, but you got to put a link to where they said it. If you put a link to like a briefing report that maybe Newsmax helped him or Breitbart did or whatever, and then the facts he's laying out, then it's incontrovertible. They can just deny a tweet. I mean, what if he did, say, twice a week, a 30-minute fireside chat like Roosevelt did, where he had like a big computer screen with production, where he just shows his facts and then totally proves where they're lying, but then also talks about what he's done for the people, totally bypassing him. I think not even in a negative attack way, but actually saying what he's doing. I think that's what he needs to do.
Oh, I agree. That would be very powerful. You know, back in the day, Ross Perot really caught fire when he did a couple of those seminars nationally. This was before there was Fox News or radio shows like yours or even Newsmax. And he went
to #1 with just a few of those.
Yeah. People eat it up because they're talking not about, they're showing facts and showing a plan. And I do think, I've never seen him more excited than when he talks about job programs. He really wants to restore the American worker and the employment situation in this country. And he's really motivated by it. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter if he does send a tweet or two. If he brings economic growth back to the levels that he says he wants to, we're going to be in good shape, and he will win re-election.
Well, undoubtedly, he knows he can move quicker with executive action instead of trying to pass laws in Congress. But a lot of folks say, well, do it through Congress, then it's bulletproof. But absolutely, he knows that if he just takes the foot off our neck that the globalists put there, it'll be so explosive that we're going to be voting Trump Republicanism for another 50 years, 100 years, like Bannon says. But I think that's why we're in such a death battle. The Democrats now call it a death battle to bring down Trump, because it's like the end of their world. They're like kamikazes in 1945 coming into the, the Lexington in the Pacific Ocean. They're not going to give up, Chris.
Well, I hate to say it, they are a little bit like caged animals. They lost the House, the Senate. They're not going to gain many seats in the Senate in the next election. They've lost control of 33 states. There's only 6 states they control. The only big one is California. The other little states like Rhode Island and Delaware, they're in bad shape. They're going to lose control of the judiciary. Everywhere across the country, I don't think they've smelled the coffee yet. They're not in a good position. And instead of trying to work and get things done, they're playing the obstruction role here. And I think it's backfiring with the American people.
That's right. When the Republicans played obstructionist, blocking the globalist agenda, it was good because the people wanted that. Now the people want freedom. They want prosperity. They want America back. They want 1950 2.0 for everybody. And they just better get out of the way. And that's not bravado. That's just a historical fact. All right. Well, Chris Ruddy, Newsmax.com. We got 60 seconds left. Thanks for popping in with this exclusive here with us. Any final points?
Well, I'm pushing the book, David Horowitz, Big Agenda. Get it. It's the best book on the Trump presidency.
Oh, we want him back on. He was on. He was great. So let's get him back on next week.
I'm going to tell him right now that he's coming on. You're the most important show on the internet.
All right. Well, thank you so much. Again, that's from Newsmax. The Big Agenda. I haven't read it yet. I know I read his 12 years ago. I read his Unholy Alliance, and I thought it was crazy. Now it all came true. Horowitz is smart.
Well, he understands because he was a former leftist revolutionary, and he came over to our side. So he knows how they work.
Tried his parents were communists. All right, Chris, great job. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye, Alex.
Yeah, it's amazing. I tell you, I read 2 of his books, and I was reading these going, this guy is just out of control, fear, and then it all came true.